I'd like to call the September 20th, 2022 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Director Miller,
Here.
Director Richardson,
Here.
Director Webb, Director Peck. Here. Director Wright, Director Wyrick, Director Campiris, Director Phillips,
Present.
Director Adcock,
Present.
Vice Mayor Hines,
Present.
Mayor Scott.
Okay. Next, we'll have the invocation. City Attorney Tom Carpenter.
Would you join me, please? We come tonight to do the city's business. The people on the dais that are elected to make these decisions may seem esteemed because of the position that they hold and the authority that they have and the power that they can exercise. But it should be quite clear to everyone here that any authority we may have been given is only to assure that everyone we represent and that is represented by this board is treated fairly and equally, that they are heard, that even if we cannot agree with the position they take, they will know that they were given a fair hearing and due consideration. Because without that, there is no esteem, there is no wonder, there is no power, there is only an abuse of a privilege. And the people at this table stand foursquare for the proposition that as representatives, our duty is to represent and not to harm. Amen.
When I do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We have a couple of presentations to start the meeting. A proclamation, one on the Community School Coordinators Week, and the other also on Electric Vehicle Week. So I'll come to the podium and read these. And we have representatives from the community schools and the Electric Vehicle Week, I think, to take these after we read them. First proclamation we have is the Community School Coordinators Appreciation Week. Know ye all people by these presents and greetings. Whereas community schools marshal, align, and unite the assets, resources, and capacity of schools and communities for the success of students, families, and communities. And whereas a 2020 study found that community schools had a positive impact on student attendance, on-time grade progression, and credit accumulation for high school students. And whereas community school coordinators are the key to successful community schools, creating, strengthening, and maintaining the bridge between the school and the community. And whereas community school coordinators facilitate and provide leadership for the collaborative process and development of a continuum of services for children, families, and community members within a school neighborhood. And whereas the Little Rock School District has 6 community school coordinators who work diligently to create and manage the partnerships that allow our students to learn and communities to strive. And whereas community school coordinators, through their role, deliver a strong monetary return on investment for community schools and their communities. And whereas community school coordinators, through their role, deliver a strong monetary return on investment for community schools and their communities. And now, therefore, I, Frank Scott, the Mayor of Little Rock, do hereby proclaim September 19th through the 23rd of 2022 as Community School Coordinators Appreciation Week in the city of Little Rock, and call upon residents to join Little Rock to celebrate Little Rock's community school coordinators and the critical role of community school coordinators in the success of students. Next, we have a proclamation for Electric Vehicle Week. Know ye all people by these present greetings. Whereas petroleum fuel vehicles are responsible for over 50% of our local greenhouse gas emissions and are a contributing factor to air pollution and climate change, threatening the health of our citizens and the sustainability of our planet. And whereas the imbalance between gasoline resources and worldwide demand is escalating gasoline prices to levels that overburden commerce, hurry economic growth, and cause hardship to our citizens. And whereas the transportation sector needs support to move toward adoption of a clean energy technology, including plug-in electric vehicles that reduces our dependence on foreign fuels and supports a healthy environment and economy. Whereas Little Rock, Arkansas is dedicated to becoming a leader in the use of clean energy, establishing policies and programs that conserve energy and promote sustainability. And whereas September 23rd through October 2nd, 2022 has been designated as EV Week throughout the United States to educate our citizens about the benefits of plug-in electric vehicles and to promote their adoption. Now therefore, I, Frank Scott, Mayor of the City of Little Rock, do hereby proclaim September 23rd through October 2nd, 2022 as Electric Vehicle Week in the City of Little Rock and encourage individuals in the community to join me in supporting the aims and goals of this worthwhile effort.
Good evening, City Board and City of Little Rock. Thank you, Vice Mayor Hines, for reading the proclamation proclaiming September 23rd through October 2nd as Electric Vehicle Week in the City of Little Rock. I'm Lenny Massinelli, your Sustainability Officer. Brittany Nichols is the Sustainability Educator, and we work closely with the city's Sustainability Commission. Director Peck is Board Liaison to the Commission, and we're so grateful to her for supporting us in our work. Our Electric Vehicle Week is part of a broader national effort to educate the public on how this technology is changing our economy and environment and to encourage interest and participation. The Sustainability Office partnered with several entities in Central Arkansas, such as the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment, Audubon Delta, Arkansas Advanced Energy Association, and others to create a roster of engaging events. In Little Rock, EV events are Tuesday, September 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Ron Robinson Theater, which will host a screening of the documentary film, Revenge of the Electric Car. A panel discussion will precede the showing, which will include the city's senior fleet manager. Wednesday, September 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. is Jazz in the Park in the East River Market Pavilion. Along with music, a Tesla will be on hand for information and demonstrations by the Arkansas Advanced Energy Association. Then on Thursday, September 29th from 6 to 8 p.m., Leva's Coffee in Little Rock will host a coffee and evening event. Electric vehicles will be on hand for information and demonstrations, and refreshments will be available. And finally, on Friday, September 30th from 6 to 9 p.m., Franklin's Charging Station, which is an EV charging site, will host a Revenge of the Electric Car documentary screening. A food truck and electric vehicles will be on site. The Sustainability Office organizes events such as these and other learning opportunities for residents, businesses, and our co-workers in an effort to improve our systems and increase environmental awareness. We've provided the city directors and Mayor Scott with our 2022 Sustainability Update, which will be uploaded to our website after tonight's meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly highlight some of the work the Office and Commission have been doing this year. Although connecting the community with information about electric vehicles is important, it is but one piece of a bigger sustainability plan. Over the last year, our office has been involved with a national group of cities to inform our strategy for planning and meeting sustainability goals. Along with our work with regional peers, we have also partnered with other city departments to develop and launch 2 programs, the Green Restaurant Certification Program and our Green Guide for Events. Of course, we continue to work with schools and civic groups to educate on best recycling practices and sustainability. We encourage everyone to visit our updated websites on littlerock.gov, where we will soon be releasing an online toolkit we're calling the Summit Series. These videos will showcase local sustainability efforts and will be a part of our teaching library for years to come. The Sustainability Commission is tasked with making recommendations on sustainable policy as it relates to the social, economic, environmental, and quality of life issues facing Little Rock, and we have the honor to work closely with this group of passionate, concerned citizens. Working with the Sustainability Commission allows our office more capacity and access to various fields of expertise in areas of energy and efficiency, waste and reduction, the natural environment, alternative transportation, and community outreach. The Sustainability Commission currently has 14 volunteer members who applied for a position and were appointed by the city directors and mayor. The wealth of experience in this group is truly matched by each member's dedication to sustainability work. We're thankful for their contribution of time, energy, and knowledge to provide the city with informed recommendations for more sustainable policy. And we thank you, Mayor Scott, for the electric vehicle proclamation, and to the board of directors for your ongoing support of Sustainability Commission and office, and for all of your efforts to improve the quality of life for those living in Little Rock today and the future with your commitment to sustainability. So thank you.
Thank you. You'll have to bear with me tonight. I may have been at the Razorback game Saturday and yelled a little more than I should have. So my voice is kind of coming and going. We have several modifications, items M1, M2, and M3. If there's no questions on those, we get a motion to add them to the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Director Wright and Director Adcock. All in favor of adding those modifications to the consent agenda, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are added to the consent agenda. We also have a deferral of Ordinance 16 at the applicant's request until October 3rd, so he could meet with the neighborhood there and try to discuss the development with them. All right. Madam Clerk, would you read the consent agenda along with items
Vice Mayor.
M1 through M3? Do we have,
So moved.
okay.
Earl.
Vice Mayor, I would like to make a motion to table.
Oh,
the budget.
Director Adcock, let me handle this first motion on this deferral.
Okay.
Just 1 second. So we have a motion and a second from Director Wright and Director Pack to defer Ordinance 16 until October 3rd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All any opposed? The motion passes. That will be deferred until October 3rd. Director Adcock.
Yes, I would like to move to table item 18, the budget adjustment, for 2 weeks.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to defer our ordinance 18 for 2 weeks till our next meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have the discussion.
I'm sorry. I'm going to retract that. I didn't see your hand, Director Phillips. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I just want to know, Director Adcock, anything, any reason to defer? You'd like to explain why we're deferring, or your motion to defer?
Yes, there are several reasons. One is that the mayor is not here this evening, and I would like for him to be here for the discussion of this item.
Okay, that's fair enough for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Director Phillips. Any other questions? No further questions. All in favor of deferring Ordinance 18 for 2 weeks till our next meeting, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have one nay. The motion passes. All right. Madam Clerk, would you please proceed with the consent agenda and items M1 through 3?
A motion to approve the minutes of the May 3rd, 2022, May 17th, 2022, June 7th, 2022, June 21st, 2022, and July 12th, 2022 Little Rock City Board of Director meetings minutes, and the May 31st, 2022 Little Rock City Board of Directors special called meeting. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Burkhalter Technologies, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $2,383,632 for the Briarwood Area Drainage Improvement Project Phase 2 and for other purposes, funding from the 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Gene Summers Construction, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $1,266,816 for the South Valentine Street Drainage Improvement Project and for other purposes, funding from the 3/8 capital improvement sales tax and the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Oakley Fertilizer, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for the purchase of rock salt in bulk for the Public Works Department, Street Operations Division, and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with JTS Financial Services in an amount not to exceed $395,000 for employee benefits, consultation services, and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Enterprise FM Trust, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $250,000 to lease 48 vehicles for the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. A resolution to express the willingness of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas to utilize Arkansas Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism Outdoor Recreation Grant Program funds to authorize the mayor and city manager to execute any and all necessary applications, agreements, and contracts for its administration and for other purposes. A resolution to appoint a successor commissioner to fill a vacancy on the Board of Commissioners of the Riverdale Levy Improvement District Number 134 of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to certify local government endorsement of Nephropathology Associates PLC DBA Arcana Laboratories to participate in the Arkansas Tax Back programs is authorized by Arkansas Code 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and for other purposes. A resolution to change the name of South Park Street located between West Daisy L. Gatson Bates Drive and West 16th Street to Little Rock 9 Way and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a towing service contract with each company that responded successfully to the city's request for qualifications and for other purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution Number 15,240 to amend the contract with Summit Truck Group of Arkansas LLC to reflect its purchase by Rush Truck Centers of Arkansas Inc. and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to release the city lien on the Mulholland Martin Apartments and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to subordinate a revisionary interest in certain properties for the Child Development Center and University of Arkansas Medical Science Campus and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion's passed. Madam Clerk, please read the grouped items 12 and 13.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to dispense the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with NLB Services in an amount not to exceed $378,000 for computer career pathway courses as endorsed by the Arkansas Division of Workforce Services through the Arkansas Development Corporation and for other purposes. First reading.
Move we suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to dispense with the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with NLB Services in an amount not to exceed $378,000 for computer career pathway courses as endorsed by the Division of Workforce Services through the Arkansas Development Corporation and for other purposes. Second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, third reading.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. An ordinance to dispense the requirement of competitive selection and to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with NLB Services in an amount not to exceed $378,000 for computer career pathway courses as endorsed by the Arkansas Division of Workforce Services through the Arkansas Development Corporation and for other purposes, third and final reading.
Thank you. Board, I don't see anyone with their hands up. And we have no cards on these items. Move to take the vote on grouped items 12 and 13. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The grouped items are passed. Madam Clerk, would you please start with separate item 14, please?
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled Red Bridge Development Storage Facility, PDC, located at 9715 Colonel Glenn Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, first reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled Red Bridge Development Storage Facility, PDC, located at 9715 Colonel Glenn Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled Red Bridge Development Storage Facility, PDC, located at 9715 Colonel Glenn Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, third and final reading.
I have no cards on item 14, and I do not see any. Director Ryrick, you have a question?
I was gonna ask you if you had any cards on this. I asked to have this held separate. I talked to the applicant, I guess yesterday, and he went over the development with me. So I'm satisfied with the information that I got from him, and I was concerned if there was anybody here that might have some questions. So
We have no cards on it.
thank you.
Thank you. With no other discussion, we'll take a vote on item 14. All those in favor of the passage of ordinance 14 tonight, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ordinance passes. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 15.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled New Cap Development Senior Housing Commercial PCD, located at 12110 Stagecoach Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes, first reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled New Cap Development Senior Housing Commercial PCD, located at 12110 Stagecoach Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, third and final reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled New Cap Development Senior Housing Commercial PCD, located at 12110 Stagecoach Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, third and final reading.
We have no cards on ordinance 15, and I do not see any directors with their hands up. We'll move to the vote. All in favor of passage of ordinance 15, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Ordinance 15 passes. Madam Clerk, go to the reading of ordinance 17, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled El Patio Private Club PDC and to approve the action of El Patio located at 7315 Geyer Springs Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, and filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code 3-9-222AI, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
Move suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, motion passes. Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled El Patio Private Club PDC and to approve the action of El Patio located at 7315 Geyer Springs Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, and filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code 3-9-222 AI. Second reading.
Move suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, third and final reading.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and to establish a planned development commercial titled El Patio Private Club PDC and to approve the action of El Patio located at 7315 Geyer Springs Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, and filing an application for operation as a private club permitted from the Arkansas Alcohol Beverage Control Division of the Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration to comply with Arkansas Code 3-9-222 AI. Third and final reading.
All right, I have no cards. Is the applicant here and wish to speak on this item?
Good evening. We are asking for you guys to take in consideration to help us get our business on the road. And 3 hours is all we're asking. Just keep in mind, we're not a private club yet because we have to go through the ABC, but we're trying to get those 3 hours added so that we can build our funds back from the loss of the pandemic. We went through a great loss on this, when the pandemic was here. We're trying to build our funds back. We're just a average bar. We got the signatures from the neighborhoods, from all around us. We got over 100 signatures agreeing that they think we can be successful in this location with our, the El Patio. Not only do El Patio have a bar, not only do we listen to music and eat well, we also do things in the community. We just finished doing a back-to-school event for our community. We do other things. Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up. We can use those extra funds to help build our community because we all know the community right now is not where we're at. So in order for us to get those funds to do what we do as a whole, we're asking for those 3 hours, which is 1 extra hour on Saturday and 2 extra hours on Sunday. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anything? All right. Director Adcock.
Yes. Mayor, this place has been functioning as a club. We have had fire having to go out there because of them having too many people in the building and on the parking lot. We have had police go out there and have to remind them that they have to take the drinks down at a certain time. This is in a neighborhood. At the back of them, there is houses, and over to the left of the back, just divided by a chain link fence, is a mobile home park with lots of children. And I don't think any of us want children kept up till 2 o'clock. There are 3 other clubs right in the area that is also a problem to this community. This is 1 block into Forbing and Geyer Springs Road, and I would like to ask the board to please not approve this because I do not think this is an asset to this community and that it is something that has already caused problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Phillips.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Is Director Collins here? Or can we get him?
I think Ashley's going to go grab Director Collins.
Yeah, good afternoon, Director Collins. Just want to ask some clarified questions because I don't think I asked any last week about this agenda item. One, just to clarify, the staff recommended approval of the change, is that correct?
That's correct.
And as I understand the write-up, the notices went out to the neighbors and only one objector showed up, is that correct?
That's correct. One spoke at the Planning Commission in opposition.
And as it relates to the hours, we're just going from 1 to 2 on Saturday and from midnight to 2 on Sunday? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, that is just an extension of an hour, just as you read that.
And there are no changes to how they're operating the business, correct?
That's correct, just the hours of operation.
That's all I have. Thank you, Director Collins. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Director Collins, am I reading this right, that this failed at the Planning Commission 5-4?
That is correct. And in the bylaws, it says that if the, still has to get to the 6, so therefore it goes directly to the Planning Commission as a recommendation of the Planning Commission that they did not pass, it failed.
Okay, thank you. Director Peck,
Thank you. Jamie, I'm just curious, you don't often see 5-4 and the staff recommends approval. Could you shed any light on what the planning commissioners were thinking when they voted that way?
Yes, some of those was, I guess Commissioner Brooks was one of the ones that primarily spoke up at the meeting on the general discussion of the timing of it. So I think it was just opposition, the working, the operational hours of the alcohol sales, the extension is what they were in opposition for. There was not really other commissioners that spoke up, but that was the general, and that's when the vote was cast after that.
So it was just the addition of, the additional hour or 3 hours, I guess, was that was their primary?
Yeah, that's their thing. I mean, currently, right now, as explained at the commission in here, and it's always kind of odd when we get one of these from the ABC. Really what the board is approving is the application to present the application to the ABC. The state has the authority to regulate the sales of alcohols and the hours of sales of alcohol. So that was a state law that was passed, and it has to go before the board for them to process that application.
Thank you.
Director Richardson?
Yes, Jamie, I think you touched on the question I was about to present to you. They're not changing any of the uses at the place, at the establishment, correct?
That's correct.
Only thing they're asking and requesting is additional hour to sell alcohol.
That's correct.
Are they operation hours as well, or just were they closed at that time, or is just to sell alcohol?
It is not necessarily the operational hours, it is just the hours of alcohol sales. Per the zoning, if properly zoning does not designate necessarily operational hours unless they are a planned development, in which that is where we can designate operational hours. A commercial business, restaurant can be open 24/7, and several of them are throughout the city. This is specifically for what the ABC would deem their private club designation, not necessarily our private club designation, the city's definition of.
And had ABC not been involved, we wouldn't be talking about this here right now, correct? This is here because of ABC definition of changing of the uses because of the extra hour. Did I read that correctly?
That is correct. That's a state law went in place, and Tom can correct me if I thought it was maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that law went into place, that moved it back, that said that it had to be, application has to be approved by the local governing body. And for us, that we determined back then that was a planned development, because that allows us as a municipality, if the board or commission or municipality approves the submittal of application, but for some reason the ABC board denies that application, that allows us the ability to revoke that criteria of zoning. It is based upon.
Well, Vice Mayor, what I would Unsurprisingly, I disagree with my colleague, Director Adcock, because I think everything she described happens at all the nice parts that we even tout. And I do understand that sometimes nightclubs can have a deleterious effect on communities, particularly children, youth, and families. But this club has been there. They've been in operation. They're not changing or requesting any other uses. They're asking for an additional hour. We went through this about 6 or 7 years ago when we looked at extending club operation hours from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And we kind of had the same kind of conversation 7, 8 years ago. Because there were some clubs who didn't have the operation hours that clubs in River Market had, and they wanted to have those same kind of operation hours. And
As I recall, I think we were talking about either a moratorium or trying to do away with the 5 a.m. club licenses. I think we had a couple of directors that are no longer on our board that went on.
I know it wasn't the exact same thing, but I think the similarity is obviously there. And I'm certainly, as a person who represents a lot of marginalized children, youth, and families, and I know and I understand the impact that some of these establishments can have on some of these communities. I'm also under the awareness that if I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna be fair and just the way we're fair and just across the board. It's not gonna be selective. So, unsurprisingly, I will support it, even though I'm not a big supporter of nightclubs and facilities like this, but I will support it. It's in Ward 2, and they're not changing or requesting the uses, asking for additional hour. It's already been there. The living places that Joan describes, they were there. They've been there in operation for just as long. And I think Jamie said we only had one objector show up, and we had any other opposition towards this.
I believe that if, at the time that we wrote the write-up for it, we had not received anything from the Neighborhood Association, Southwest, United for Progress. I believe that since then, they have come out in objection to that.
Afterwards.
But that was the neighborhood come out and they sent, I don't know if they sent a letter to the Planning Commission, but I do believe that even that Mr. Leahy was the one that spoke in opposition. And I believe that was the conversation that he spoke of. Let me get down to the minutes to that.
And
Yes,
had been
they
notified.
were. So the Southwest United for Progress was in opposition to the application. Even though Mr. Leahy did speak in opposition, he did mention that fact in his conversation.
Okay, and let me, because I see he's creeping up behind you, to not to prolong this. They had been notified prior, exactly, is that correct?
That's correct. All neighborhood associations were notified, as we now do, and they met the distance criteria set by the bylaws.
I call a question, Mayor.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second on calling the question. We do have another board member that already had their hand up, but I will recognize the motion. This is to call the question on a vote on item 17. All those in favor of calling the question signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
At a roll call, I'm having trouble deciding. That's pretty
Excuse me,
split down the
Mayor.
middle.
This motion was to call for the question?
Yes.
For us to vote.
Right.
Okay.
So, Madam Clerk, roll call on the calling of the question.
Director Phillips,
Yes.
Director Adcock,
No.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Director Richardson,
Yes.
Director Webb, Director Peck,
No.
Director Wright, Director Wyrick, Director Campiris, Vice Mayor Hines. Oh, sorry.
Yes. Fails 5-4. Is that correct?
5, 4, and 1 absent.
Motion to call the question fails, so I'll recognize Director Adcock.
Yes. Mr. Collins, Mr. Leahy is standing behind you. And Mr. Leahy, when he responds at one of your Planning Commission's meetings, he's speaking for Southwest United for Progress, correct?
He spoke of Southwest United for Progress at that meeting. There has been times also that Mr. Leahy has spoke as an individual.
Okay. Well, the vote taken at Southwest United for Progress, I was there that night, and he did come here representing all the neighborhoods. Southwest United for Progress is made up of all the neighborhoods of Southwest Little Rock. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further discussion? All right. Director Peck?
I'm sorry, I don't have my hand up. So it's a little confusing. I just want to be clear. So, Mr. Leahy, the neighborhoods are opposed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Director Adcock?
Southwest United for Progress is opposed to the application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Director Peck. Seeing no further questions, we'll move to a vote on item 17. All those in favor of the passage of 17 signal by saying aye. All those opposed, same signal.
No.
No.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Director Phillips,
Yes.
Director Adcock,
No.
Director Miller,
No.
Director Richardson,
Yes.
Director Webb, Director Peck,
No.
Director Wright, Director Wyrick, Director Campuris, Vice Mayor Hines,
No.
Director Wright, would you like to change your vote? Do you want to change it to no, or you want to keep it?
Ordinance failed.
Director Wright? Thank you for the clarification.
So 2 ayes, 6 nays, and 1 present.
All right. Ordinance 17 fails on a vote of 2 ayes, 6 nays, and 1 present. Thank you. We'll now move to the public hearings 19 and 20. I'm going to open a public hearing for item 19. Madam Clerk, would you read the ordinance?
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District Number 2022-004, Woodland Park Recreation District of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
If we read second reading.
It was
Second.
Director Adcock, the mic cut out.
Sir?
Your mic cut out.
Oh, I move we would go to second reading.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Director Wyrick, is that you that seconded?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and move to second reading on ordinance 19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District Number 2022-004, Woodland Park Recreation District of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
We suspend the rules and go to third and final reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and go to second reading, correct?
Third reading.
This is third reading, I'm sorry. Third reading, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District.
You didn't vote.
Oh, they didn't.
You got to
Oh,
vote.
I'm sorry. All in favor of suspending the rules and going to third and final reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Third and final reading, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District Number 2022-004, Woodland Park Recreation District of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
Directors, I have no cards on item 19 on this item. I don't see any hands up for the directors, so we'll move to the vote. I need to close the hearing. All in favor of passage of ordinance 19, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. Ordinance 19 passes.
We have an emergency clause.
All in favor of the emergency clause on item 19, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The emergency clause passes. We'll move to open public hearing on ordinance 20.
Mayor,
Yes,
before number 20 is read, I need to inform the board that on page 2 of the ordinance, starting at line 26 through line 28, there is a statement which states, "The district will construct a fully licensed and permitted sewer plant within the boundaries of the district to serve property owners in the district and will operate and maintain the system unless and until it is acquired by a municipal utility." Close quote. That sentence is in there inappropriately, and the applicant has asked that it be stricken, so when we have the 3 readings, it will be as if that sentence is not in there.
thank you, Tom. Appreciate the clarity.
I guess point of order, Mayor.
Point of order.
And do we need to have a motion to adopt that change, Tom, or is that explanation sufficient?
I think the explanation is sufficient because the applicant has requested that it be taken out, and there hasn't been a first reading.
Okay, understood.
Okay, we've opened the public hearing on ordinance 20. Please, Madam Clerk, first reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District number 2022-00, I think that's supposed to say 5, Woodland Park subdivision of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on second reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, second reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District number 2022-005, Woodland Park subdivision of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Madam Clerk, third and final reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off Little Rock Municipal Property Owners Improvement District number 2022-005, Woodland Park subdivision of Little Rock, Arkansas, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Director Wyrick?
I just wanted, Tom clarified the issue that I've been dealing with today on item number 20. The original ordinance reflected a treatment facility, and it wasn't approved with the treatment facility, so we've spent a good part of the day trying to understand what that ordinance was really doing. So he clarified the issue. That's been totally taken out, and so I'm satisfied. I know there were a number of residents in that area that were somewhat concerned about what might happen there, so we're good.
As I understand it, the facility's already connected to Little Rock Water Reclamation, so there's no need for a sewer plant. So I think it was just some erroneous language in the ordinance that wasn't caught before it got to us.
Yep.
So we've clarified that. With no further questions, any other public comment? I'll close the hearing and move to a vote. All those in favor of passage of ordinance 20, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Ordinance 20 passes. There's also an emergency clause on 20. All in favor of the emergency clause, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Emergency clause passes, Madam Clerk. That concludes our agenda for the evening. We now have citizen communication. Dr. Campiris, I'll recognize you real quick.
After citizen communications, I've got 2 things I want to bring up.
Okay, we can handle that. I will make sure we do that before you adjourn. All right, our first citizen communication card is from Mr. Jimmy Caven on transparency.
Good evening. I was going to take a different approach on the subject matter tonight, but conveniently the mayor's not here, so I'm going to read you a Facebook post I made this afternoon. Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott, DWI conviction. Recently, I obtained a report from a breathalyzer instrument, serial number 011661, used by the Arkansas State Police, which is in the first attachment of the post. It's right here. The report on the test results for Frank Scott on August 28, 2016 at 3:23 a.m. at the Sherwood Police Department. This test was attempted to be given by Arkansas State Trooper Jay McAllister, but Scott refused to take the test. I believe Director Richardson knows a little bit about the Arkansas State Police and DWIs. Now, according to the emails from the Arkansas State Police, it's clear Scott had been convicted of a crime, and those records have been sealed and not releasable under Arkansas Code 1690-1413 and 1690-1415. Based on all that information, I believe we can conclude that Scott was convicted of a DWI. Now, it's Scott's right to have request the court to seal records of his conviction, but no law prevents Scott from acknowledging and talking about his conviction. In the past, he's been asked about his conviction, not by the media, of course, but has yet to even acknowledge the question. Now we have a documented report pertaining to him involving driving while intoxicated, so the mystery of what it was for is over. Now the question is, why has Scott, who has adamantly portrayed himself as completely open, honest, and transparent, hidden this information from the people for years? Now that's a question I intend to ask him. And if he does, can any of us really believe the answer to be the truth? I mean, he has been lying about this for years, which does not inspire trust. One thing I know, Scott takes comfort in that since he became mayor, he doesn't have to worry about getting DWIs anymore. He's got LRPD officers assigned to chauffeur him around after he's been drinking. Kings are entitled to that, right? So I'm going to send you all this report. It's on the breathalyzer machine from the Arkansas State Police. If Frank Scott was here tonight, I would ask him to finally come clean with the people and admit that he's got a conviction and tell the people what that is. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Luke Scrable. Specific topic is bogus violent crime claims. Mr. Scrable.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of exercising my First Amendment rights. I'm a little bit caught off because my address was to the mayor himself, but this can be to every tax-paying voter out there. A week ago yesterday, we had a mayor forum in Southwest Little Rock put on by Southwest United for Progress. The mayor was very, he was very proud of himself. He was very boastful, but he was very off base. He was not very factual, I thought. He had his chest puffed out all night that the city was down on violent crime. Let me give you the statistics as of today on violent crime in Little Rock compared to last year. And then what's really interesting is the 5-year average of violent crime. Murders a year ago, 50 as of today. Today, in Little Rock, 59 murders, 18% up. Forcible rape, a year ago today, 156. Today, 141, 9.3% down. Robbery, Year ago today, 244. Today in Little Rock, 299. 22.54% up. Aggravated assault, 2,465 a year ago today. 2238, down 9.21%. Overall, yes, the mayor can stick his chest out and say that we're 6.07% down. But if you combine 18% murders up and 22.5% robberies up, we're 40.5% up. And with rapes and aggravated assaults, we're 18% down. Do the math. Now, here's where it really gets interesting. We're 18% up on murders with 59. The 5-year average is 38.
Mr. Scrabble, thank you. Your time is up.
I know that. This is a very serious matter. Can you extend me just a little time, please?
Luke, I might have to be fair to everyone. Everybody's taking 3 minutes. You're welcome to come back again next time.
The mayor's not very truthful, sir. We need to elect a man that's truthful here in 104 days.
Next, we have June Matheny on violence and public safety.
Okay, I would like to address the board members because evidently nothing else is getting done to protect the people in Little Rock. I'm a grandmother. I have 2 little ones, and I am afraid to bring them to Little Rock. I will not do it. One, I pick up downtown at daycare today, an hour after the shooting down there. One night, I was coming home off the interstate, getting off on Mississippi. They just found a dead body. This past week, shooting over at Canis Park, people on the pickleball court hit the ground. I'm tired of this. I went to War Memorial, took my grands around so they could see the ducks and everything. 2 days later, the little girl was killed. Can't do that anymore. What is there in Little Rock for anyone to do? I don't even shop here. I go to Maumelle, I go to Bryant. I will not spend my money in Little Rock because you may come out with maybe nothing in your purse because somebody snatched it, or you may, have somebody come up to you wanting what you have. I'm just kind of tired of all this. And it's going to take you board members to take back your authority and to do something about this town. Otherwise, everyone I know is saying, if we don't clean it up, we're leaving. There's other places to go that are safe and that you can take your grandchildren, your children, your great-grandkids, visitors, and feel a lot safer than you can in Little Rock. Where in Little Rock can you go? You can't go downtown. You step over the homeless. You step over the beer bottles. Where is there to go? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matheny. Next, we have I think it's Tamisha Bailey. Her specific topic is Project Better Life to Becoming Your Best Self. Ms. Bailey.
It's Tamisha Bailey. Thank you all for allowing me to speak before you this evening. I come presenting my project. This is something that I started in my neighborhood so that the individuals could be better individuals, better families, better neighbors, and better communities. And the results has been wonderful. I am so happy at all the families coming together and we coming together as a neighborhood. I come to petition the board of directors for that extra funds that y'all have to assist us in a project that we would like to do right there at Rosswood and Doyle Springs. That's a lot right there. We would like to have that lot so that we could build a park for the kids, not just any park, but the state of the art, the best park that all the kids around that neighborhood would truly love to come to. I have talked to all the kids in the neighborhood and asked them what they would like. I got it all written down and everything. And then there's youth that's been put out by their parents. They have nowhere to go. It's already enough homeless people. I would like to knock down some of those trees so that we could build a youth home. And then it's a space right behind that field that we could make a dog park right there, because a lot of us do have dogs and they have nowhere to go. Now, I know that you all have the ability to do this. Everybody is looking for something better for Little Rock, the city of Little Rock. We need more in Little Rock for Little Rock because we need to keep the funds and resources in Little Rock. Mostly everything is in North Little Rock. North Little Rock can take care of itself. But now is the time to build up the city of Little Rock. Now, when I first started this, I thought about just Southwest, but it's not just about Southwest. It's about all of the city of Little Rock. Because I was here at the last meeting and I heard you all speak on what can we do to solve our issues. Well, we have to start one neighborhood at a time. So I'm asking, please let that neighborhood be my neighborhood because I've already started. Now, I care about the people that lives around there. I have talked to the families. I have fed the families. I have been there for the families. I have stopped kids from coming down our block screeching their tires like they drag racing. I've spoken to their parents and asked them, would you please not have your child come down our block doing that? People who don't belong over there come over there littering. I say, please don't do that. We're trying to keep our block clean. I am happy with the results. And if you would like to come and see, we are on Orchard Drive, right over there in Southwest Little Rock. We have one of the best neighborhoods over there. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and we all get along, and it is diverse. Now, this is something that we can do. And I know we can do this, but we all can do this together if we truly work as a team. And then I heard about the homeless issue that you all were speaking on. There's a lot of property owners that got properties that's just sitting empty. They're not taking care of them. The grass is overgrown and everything. If we can get with these property owners, then we can eliminate our homeless issues, fix these homes up for the homeless. That's just a starting point to a better city of Little Rock.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Next, I have a card from, it looks like Miss Betty Ellis on a drainage ditch and lots.
Thank you. I'm Betty Ellis. I reside at 3404 Wolf Street. My problem is nobody knows nothing. And I've been there over 20 years. And I would like for somebody to just come out there and let me talk to them instead of just giving me a note of what somebody told them. I don't work anymore, so I'm at home. If you, any day, you name the time, I'll be there. A lot of other things are just, I don't know. I'm just at a loss. I don't know what to do. But I'd appreciate if someone would come at 3404 Wolf, just before you get in the park. That lot is me on the corner. So I would appreciate if someone would come to 3404 Wolf. Tell me what time you're coming so we'll all be there together so you can say, I came and you wasn't at home. So I don't work. I own the property and I'd appreciate if you give me a time. Thank you.
Miss Ellis,
Yes, sir.
some of your address and your phone number is hard to read. I'm going to pass this around to our clerk. If you'll just come over to her real quick and make sure she's got your contact information, because I think a couple of the directors want to reach out to you. Thank you. Next, it looks like Miss Jackie Randall on drainage ditch as well on a different area of town. Is it Jackie?
Yeah, Jackie. Sorry. It's Jackie Randall. Ooh, it's been a while since I've been up here. I commend you on the work that you're doing. And to our board and to Mr. Moore and to our mayor who's not here. I can't say that the mayor has not had a heavy burden on his shoulders. He has. In fact, the entire world has the same problems. Killings, robbings, kids being killed. I'm concerned about that as well. So it's a lot of work to be done. I didn't come to throw stones. I come to talk about ditches. Let's not dig ditches until we find out what we can do. All of us, not just the mayor, but all of us can do about the violent crimes that are taking place in our neighborhood, to protect our children, to protect our homes, and also to protect the homeless. Miss Betty lives in my neighborhood, and I'm here on her behalf as well. The ditch that she's referring to is a ditch a drainage ditch that the city opened up to drain water from uphill down here throughout Bush on the other side of her. That ditch has been there. I was there when they opened it up. I was there when they started laying the concrete. And what she's not having a problem with is the water is still running behind her house, but no one has come and explained why it's still open and what is the purpose and where is it going. That's her major concern. She has a lot on the other side of that somebody has been trespassing on, and she's been asked in the city that somebody has torn down her fence, and she don't understand why that they have that fence torn down, and she tried to keep it clean. So I'm here to help and support her in that matter because she's in the Whitmore Circle area, even though her street number is Wolf Street. She's right there in the entrance of Whitmore Circle. And as you all know, we just had a project done for drainage and things of that sort. So she's a part of our family. And that's what we do. We look out for each other. And we also have a park there too, so I'm gonna take that issue up on tomorrow. But we do have a lot of crime. And this is my watchman. She's my commander on the front end. And we face some of the same problems other members of the city faces as well. But we all have to work together to stop it. Not just one man, but all of us has to do our best to stop it. And it takes talking to the neighbors, talking to the children, getting mentor programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have a card from Reverend Big Ben Johnson. Topic's crime.
A few weeks ago, this couple I know, house was shot up. They're not even from Little Rock. They don't even bother anybody. So I called Chief Hilton because the whole time I was there, his wife was traumatized, and she was crying. So I wanted, give him a little ease. So I called Chief Hilton, and he said, well, he's gonna have someone call me. Well, he did. He had Lieutenant Gurley to call me back. And while I was talking to her on the phone, she was talking to somebody else, just rude and discourteous. And then when I finally got her attention, it seemed like she was trying to rush me out the phone. And now that same evening, at the Chamber of Commerce, there was a big shooting. It seemed like it was a top priority. Now, the message it's sending to me is that it's all right for Pookie to shoot up Ray house, but it's not all right for Pookie to shoot up Mr. Billy's white Chamber of Commerce. It's wrong. I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, what ethnicity you are, everybody in this city needs to be treated the same. And I'm tired of the politics in the city. I had a conversation with the interim chief a few years ago with the problem over there on 12th Street. It's still a problem over there. And he's trying to give me these excuses. I just cut him out. I don't want to hear that. A few years before that, Vice Mayor Hines, they had a unit to focus on somebody that's stealing some cats up in the heights. But you can't put a focus on a special unit on someone that's killing people. I buried a lot of these people, and I'm tired of seeing the heartbreak and pain from these mothers and fathers, families' faith. And we need to use a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. Now, I've been with this board for many, many years. And every one of you, some of you weren't here, but the majority of you here, y'all turn a deaf ear every time it came to you. Only one I get a response for was Director Ken Richards and the late Irma Hendricks. They are the only one. Now, I told y'all that it was gonna start coming north of 630 and west of University. Then it started coming. Now you're acting like the world coming to an end. You should have been doing that, and I applaud you, Director Computer. It should have been a top priority a long time ago. I heard this meeting a few weeks ago. It shouldn't be no big eyes or little you. I don't care if you're still north or south of 630 or south of 630. Everybody needs to be treated the same. And I want to tell you, now we have some good officers, but I'm gonna tell you, Chief Helton, I'm highly ticked off. I think you disrespected me. You didn't return my call after I told you I had a problem with this Lieutenant Gurley, and from this day, I ain't heard from you. And I just want to let you know from now on, when I come to you, it's a serious problem. And if you try to turn a deaf ear to me, I'm gonna start calling you out, because playtime is over.
Thank you, Reverend Johnson. That's all of our citizen communication. Director Campiris, you're recognized.
Three things real quick. These are just requests. The first is that Studio Maine had a competition for what should go in the park downtown. And I texted Bruce and the mayor and asked them if they could come and make a presentation on what they saw. We'll never pay for it, we'll never do it, but at least it gives you an idea that people are thinking about what's going on. The second thing, in the paper this weekend, Tad Bohannon had an article about Central Arkansas Water looking into areas of town to do sewage and different problems of that nature. I'm not sure if I understand what he's trying to do, but I think that we need to have a better idea. So I'd like for he and Chelsea to come sometime and talk about what their goals are. We have a waste system that only encompasses our community, and we have a water system that goes regionally. And I get the feeling they're not working together in some way or another. And I didn't really completely understand from what was in the paper, but I think that's important that we're part of this if they're really going down that road on how we do things. And the third thing is that I appreciate Joan asking that the money be delayed, because I've got some real questions about the disparity study. And since the mayor's not here, let me just ask this and then see if we can ask Tom to give us his thoughts on it, because it's my understanding when I called to ask him these questions that he wasn't part of writing it. Is that right, Tom?
Right.
But if you look on page 9, there under B, Roman numeral 1 and 2, it talks about the city will, the selected vendor shall modify and or provide additional elaboration in the primary draft as the city of Little Rock deems necessary. But the next one that caught my eye is the preliminary draft must incorporate all changes required for the city of Little Rock review as outlined. And I don't understand, if we're going to ask for a study, how we can tell them that we're going to put what we want into it, how that is a study. So since Tom wasn't part of it, is it okay, I'm not sure, is it okay, Bruce or Lance, if we ask Tom to review it and give us a written report?
Yeah, we can do that. Bruce and Tom, can you guys make that a point for us to have a discussion on when we discuss the
And
budget
just for
amendment on
curiosity's sake,
Tuesday?
I'd like to know who wrote it. I mean,
Pardon?
I'd like to know who wrote it. I mean,
Who?
I don't understand how we put something as important as this out and Tom wasn't involved in it. So if we can find out who wrote it.
And Tom, I think what Dean's elaborating on, I think you've said several times that I think you brought up the city of Memphis, because they didn't do something correctly, ended up getting sued for quite a bit of money. And I think you wanted some input in that to make sure that didn't happen if we were going down that road.
Okay.
Anything else, Director Campiris?
That's it. Those are my 3 requests.
Tom, I know you and I have had a sidebar conversation, but could you let me know where we are on the ability to do the safe harbor baby boxes at possibly some of our firehouses, as far as legislation, state statute, and that is involved? Do you think you can have that to me?
We have researched that, and I've got some legislation I'll be sending to you Friday.
Okay, thank you. Any other items? City Director Phillips? I see you, Director Wright.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And this is to, I guess, my colleagues and citizens. I had the privilege last night of attending the Ward 6 meeting that was led by our city staff and Director Wright in Ward 6. I was able to talk to a number of constituents afterwards. They were very lively about drainage and infrastructure projects as it relates to just Ward 6. After talking to them, I expressed that I will come back to my colleagues and re-request us to allocate some of the ARPA funds for additional infrastructure development in our targeted communities. I just want to put my colleagues on notice that that's something that I'll be working on behalf of everyone in wards 1, 2, 6, and 7. But when you hear the conversations last night and hear the staff say, we only have a certain amount of money, there's not enough money to cover all these projects. To me, the idea that we do have additional money that we can use to cover these projects, it only makes sense for us to allocate those dollars to take care of those areas, especially those citizens. I mean, there were individuals talking exactly about what this money would do, which was address drainage. I saw pictures of people's houses being flooded. There are roadways out in Ward 6 that need to be expanded and worked on. And I'm sure those same conversations are happening in Ward 1, Director Miller, Ward 2, Director Richardson, and Ward 7, Director Wyrick. So as I shared with some of those constituents last night, it's incumbent upon me to work with you guys to try to figure out a way to allocate that. I know 2 weeks ago, we passed an amendment to postpone this for 90 days. But just like we made that amendment, I think we can unmake it, if you will, to address these needs that are very present and prevalent throughout our city. So I told those constituents last night that I was going to do that. I'm going to try to be a man of my word and do that with you guys. But I want to put my colleagues on notice that I'll be looking for your support to allocate additional money in wards 1, 2, 6, and 7 to address the overwhelming need as it relates to infrastructure projects. That's all I have, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wright?
Thank you. Director Phillips, thank you for attending the Ward 6 meeting. I understand that you were engaged. And I did clarify to the people that attended that meeting that these funds could be used for that, and that's why we passed a resolution to have a reserve so that when we hear what projects are selected, then that we could allocate additional dollars toward that. So that would be in the Targeted Community Development Initiative, because those in and around Barrow Road is what the description was. So thank you for that. But my question is for Mr. Moore, and it's regarding Dover Drive. My phone keeps ringing. Those people want a timeline or date specific as to when we will make a decision whether or not we're going to provide an alternative egress and ingress from that neighborhood and from those apartment complexes. As I told you, I met on a Zoom call with the owners of the cottages, and they were interested in having that dialogue with us. And I think it would behoove us to move forward with that and at least talk to them to see what can be done. And that's what the Dover Drive and the Kensington residents would like. So if you could please provide that information to me at some point in the near future.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I see any other hands. So
Yes,
motion.
ma'am.
Nope.
Just
Yes,
real
Director.
quickly, you've seen some information about the activities going on with the 65th anniversary this weekend. We're going to have a detailed memo out to you all tomorrow with a list of activities and the times and places. And we're very excited about hosting 2 major events on Sunday. And we'll get all the details to you all tomorrow.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn to a second.
I'm so sorry. I'm putting my glasses on.
Go ahead, Director Pack.
Raise it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Bruce, I talked to you about this briefly, and I'm hoping that when we have this discussion, when the mayor's here and Kathy's back, because I know this is something that's important to her as well. About 2 years ago, when we were going to engage with NLC about the real training, I wonder if you might speak to that, because I believe there was a disparity piece or study in there too that was not as exhaustive. But when we do have that discussion, would you please talk about the real training and if we did sign the agreement and where we are with that?
We will.
Thank you.
No further questions. We have a motion from Director Wright to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.